two little dots just on the surface, just there. You could probably just see it now. Now this is, I want to try and address it, and I do want to try and fix it, but it might be a bubble. If it's a bubble, sort of like a sort of a manufacturing error or something, that could go deep into the plastic, and quite potentially it's just going to be impossible to remove it. However, the process of getting rid of it is also going to be a process of polishing canopies as well. So if I can't do it because it's maybe a bubble, well, at least we're kind of like going to polish this up, but hopefully we can get rid of it. So let's get started with this. We're just going to sort of, first off, we want to get this cut off of the sprue. Right, which again, I know I'm harping on about Despair at the moment, right? They haven't paid me to do anything, you know, I've brought all this stuff myself, but their cutters, like their razor sharp cutters here, they are so good for cutting the canopies off, just because it gives it such a clean cut and it won't sort of crack, because this clear plastic does sometimes tend to crack when you cut them with pliers, but because they're like razor sharp, they just slice right through it. Right, now we have a flat surface in, and normally something raised like this, you know, if you've ever had the canopies where it's sort of like a teardrop shape and you've got that join line down the middle, I'd normally use like a blade to scrape away this kind of stuff where it's raised. However, because it's a flat surface, I'm probably going to end up scratching a lot of the actual glassy areas, so I'm actually going to sand these ones away. We're coming in with a 400 grit, right, and we should hopefully just be able to pretty much sand away the problem pretty quickly. And actually, this is where we're going to find out, was it a bubble, right? Because if it was a bubble, the bubble's going to go into this clear plastic, and we're never ever going to be able to remove it, right? So by just getting that sanded away, this was, you can actually see now those two sort of raised, I don't know, bits of debris or something that somehow got attached to it in the manufacturing process have completely disappeared, and as you can see, there's no holes, so there's no bubble, right? We now just need to remove the damage that we've basically done to remove it, i.e. we've just put sanding on there. So when it comes to canopies, it is a really good idea that after every sanding grit, right, we actually clean the area, right? Because we've potentially left sanding dust behind that is of a 400 grit, right? So you want to remove that, because when you come to your next grit, you don't want to be moving around this 400 sanding dust grit, right, and potentially like sanding a little bit at 400 grit, if you get what I mean. You kind of want it nice and clean and ready for the next one, which is going to be our 800 grit, right? And even a little bit of moisture in this process just seems to help things. Right, now the tricky thing is, right, when doing clear parts, is every sanding grit needs to be completed fully and properly, right? Because you don't want to leave behind like any 400 grit sanding scratches, right? You want to make sure your 800 grit is completely removed your 400 grit sanding scratches, right? You don't want to be going down to the next grit and you've still got some 400 grit sanding scratches left, right? So you need to make sure every sanding grit has, you've got it completely removed the previous sanding grit, right? Because when you get down to say 2500 grit, and if you still got some 400 grit sanding scratches in there, you're not going to be removing them when you've got your say 2500 grit sanding sticks out. So you've really got to make sure every step is done properly. It's really more crucial when doing things like glass canopies than it is when you're doing your normal sort of plastic, right? It's way more forgiving, but with glass you've got to be on the ball with every sanding grit you go through. Right, now these sponge sanding sticks are only going to take us so far. As you can see, still quite a bit of a haze going on there. Now we do have other sanding sticks of like 10,000 grit and all this kind of stuff, but we're going to leave the sanding sticks alone, and we're going to go into polishing compounds, which we do have a nice array, again by Despair, from 2,000 grit all the way up to the 10,000 grit, which should get this all nicely polished up. And we are going to be using their tool just here, the Despair grinding tool. Right, and we're just going to remove a little grinding drill that we had on earlier. Right, and it's rather cool because we do get this nice attachment, so we can really work through polishing this up now, just almost like you'd buff a car up, in fact. So with this locked into position now with a simple Allen key, we've got these sponges, right, and they are color coded, so we know which one goes with which. Let's make sure that's a little bit more central. Right, we don't want it to be a bit wonky. We're going to start off with the 2,000 grit, right, because we really want to make sure this goes on pretty damn good. Right, and it's just basically like a little spray bottle as well, so we can just probably apply a bit to the sponge. Right, we don't need a lot of this, and a bit on here. I do recommend you get out a kitchen paper towel, right, because what's going to happen when this spins is all this what is it, the polishing compound just going to like spurt out. So we just want to get this sort of nicely with a bit of protection around it. Put it on the low setting, right? The settings with this is you press the button once, it's on the low setting, you press it 3 more times, you go up to the max setting. So we'll just press this once, and we'll then begin to just polish this on like so. Right, and we shouldn't hopefully have to kind of spend too long polishing this up because we've got this nice rotary tool. Right, don't be tempted to go a bit too mad and apply lots of pressure. You kind of really just want to let the weight of the tool actually kind of do the work itself. And then we do get a nice little cloth that comes with this as well, so we can just basically just rub off any of the leftover, let's bring you in a bit closer, rub off any of the sort of leftover polishing compound. Alright, and you should hopefully see, even after that 2,000, like something's beginning to happen. Right, now again, at this stage, you know, it's been so crucial that we go through those sanding grits perfectly from 400 right up to the 2,500, those sanding grits, because as I say, at this stage you'll probably see if you've got any leftover 400 grit sanding scratches, right? And if you do, to get rid of them you've basically got to go all the way back, which is why I say it's so crucial. So that is looking cool. I mean, it's always good to put it up to a light because you're going to see any sort of problems, and you've probably got fingerprints on the underside as well, so you might want to sort of clean the underside up before you actually put it up to the light, to be fair. And you should hopefully be able to see that you've got no issues in that area. So all that's left to do now is just do what I've just shown you, but going through the rest of the grits. And there it is, after going through all them grits. Hopefully you'll agree we've not only got it nice and shiny, but we have removed that little sort of manufacturing default of those kind of what look like bubbles, but they were like little plastic bits stuck to it on top. So that's kind of now resolved that problem. And if you ever want to polish your canopies, you know how to do it. I do also kind of suggest as well, if you've got a canopy that looks good, there's no problems, there's no need to sand anything, just coming in with that 10,000 grit polishing compound. Just doing that generally over all your glass parts just kind of gives them that nice little bit of an extra sparkle, and you haven't got to go through all the effort of all different grits. Just coming in with that 10,000 grit really does make a nice difference. Right, we're going to move into some sanding now, which we do have. Again, we're back into the Defiant.